it's true. I definitely feel my healthiest and most fit now at 42 than I did back at 22. There's a lot of reasons for this. First off, I didn't really discover strength training until I was almost 25. When I was 22, I didn't even know the difference between a dumbbell and a barbell. No exaggeration. But it's also because of three primary strategies that I've adopted over the years that have helped me get a lot more from my diet and exercise habits with much less cost and stress to my body. The first of these strategies, and probably the biggest one, is I adopted more of a work with your body rather than against it sort of approach. And when I was younger, I literally would grab on to anything that I felt would just basically beat me down. I would like, this exercise makes me feel like crap. It must be great. This diet makes me feel hungry and it's a struggle to stick with and has cravings. Awesome, I'm all for it. But over time, I realized not only was that just wearing me down, but it was vastly counterproductive for the results that I wanted. So when it came to exercise, I learned that if I'm feeling constantly like tired, exhausted, stress in the joints and stuff, that's a sign that something's out of alignment with what I'm doing. If I did a lot of dips one day and woke up and I'm like, oh, my shoulders, everything's tight and sore and stiff, that's a sign that something was a little bit off. And like a lot of people, I used to make the mistake of thinking, well, then dips must be bad for the shoulders, and I would forego the exercise, not realizing that something about how I was doing the dips was actually the problem. And I also adopted the approach of train to improve proficiency rather than to just get tired and exhausted. So all my workouts used to be, I just want to get really tired, really want to wear myself out and get hot and sweaty and so on, which is fun, but it doesn't really produce a lot better results beyond an initial improvement if you don't actually learn how to improve how well I can do the exercises. So the two worked in tandem. The better I got at doing, like, say, dips, the more benefit I got out of it with less stress on the joints and the tissues without having to drive myself into the ground. The work with the body instead of against it approach also applied very much to diet. Back in the day, I used to adopt all sorts of dietary strategies that would be the most restrictive. The more I felt like I was depriving myself, the healthier I thought my diet was. But over time, I understood that that was actually backwards, because the whole role of a healthy diet is to satisfy your appetites and your hunger and your cravings and so on. Stress is a sign of an unhealthy diet, not being good or eating right and so on. So by recognizing I should be eating more, or maybe I should loosen up my diet a little bit here, it was less stress. I had a lot less of these big swings in diet, like I would be eating super strict and then super bad on the weekends and stuff. I had a lot more of a level, moderate approach to diet, so that way there was much less stress on my body, both physically and mentally, as far as went with food. The second strategy I also adopted was I had to keep learning. Lots of times when people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just too old, I can't work out anymore, or I can't stay in shape, I usually find it's because they're running off of the exact same program they adopted 20 years ago back in college, which may have worked great then, but they're not learning more things, so they don't have more tools in their toolbox. They're still using the same old rusty screwdriver and trying to apply that to all of their applications. So keeping a hungry mindset of there's more to learn about push-ups, there's more to learn about exercise and programming and the best way to eat healthy, gave me more options, so that way I had flexibility to adjust and adapt my approaches according to what my body and my lifestyle required at the time. And that goes on with the third strategy, was I was less dogmatic about my approaches and far more flexible, so that way I could adjust my diet and exercise programs based on how I needed to be handling things on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to saying, well, this is the correct way to exercise, or this is the way I'm supposed to be doing this sort of thing, and I'm going to force my body, I'm going to force myself to do it, even if it goes against my energy level, against my goals, against what my body's feeling like. Forcing the body to do things that beat it up isn't being tough. It means you lack flexibility in your approach. So when you want to take your programs and use them as templates, like my grind style calisthenics program, but always feel free to be flexible. If you feel like doing something in a different way, like more volume or less volume, or modifying a technique works better for you, then do it that way, regardless of if some expert says some other way is better. So that's why, in a nutshell, I'm in far better shape now at 42 than I was at 22. But I want to hear from you as well. What are some of your best tips for aging strong down below in the comment section? Please share it here with the RDP community so we can all benefit from your experience and make the community stronger. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit, live free.